Welcome. It is so nice to have you back, Richard. I'm loving this. This is already our second episode of Mindful Matters podcast. Welcome.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you, Oresztesz. Well, look, I'm really excited, and it's lovely to be here. And look, for everyone watching, obviously, I'm here with my wonderful co-host Oresztesz, over in Mexico. Oresztesz is your anxiety coach, and we want to find out a little bit more about Oresztesz. He is an amazing guy. He's a fantastic coach. He's a fantastic hypnotist, and he's available at lessanxietytoday.com.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. You're going to make me blush. And of course, our other host, Richard Haggerty, and you can find him on richardhaggerty.substract.com. An awesome place to
Awesome.
find out
Thank you.
more. Twitter, Facebook, Coach of Coaches, and obviously an amazing guy. Of course, we have also worked together, helping each other out. So there is even more that there are many ways in which I can attest to what an amazing guide and powerful coach Richard is too.
Thank you, Oresztesz. Well, look, we'll both be blushing, and I think what I really love is that we've both had a very kind of like pragmatic, practical approach to the things that we're learning, and that we want to put them into practice. We've applied them to ourselves. We continue to apply them to ourselves, and so when we're helping other people, when we're sharing stuff with them, that really is, it's kind of heartfelt because we are talking our walk.
Absolutely, very important thing to do. Although I do believe in the idea that you get to let your talk get just a little bit ahead of you so that you are actually getting into the habit of, what we might call shooting for the stars. So
Nice, I like it.
you get to express the things that you're working on, even if they are beyond where you are now. You want to keep your eye on the prize. You want to make
Nice.
sure that you are looking beyond who you are, and you're welcome to share that. In fact, sharing it's actually beginning to feed into your social commitment, or you have already talked about it, so you're kind of locked into becoming your better version.
Nice, excellent. I love it. I agree. I think there's a lot of different ways in which you can sort of do that. You can use it, and I think the key is to have some kind of reflective process that gives you more self-awareness, more metacognition. Because you're right. One of the things I've discovered is that there's a really interesting psychological principle. If you, even without additional input or additional information or additional skill development, simply taking time to articulate perceptions around that which you are interested in and fascinated in will give you additional perceptions, and it will help you to make new connections anyway. And so you can do that with regards to things from the past, and you can also use them as learnings and insights, that greater awareness for, as you put it, to shoot for the stars. And I think that's really good. And it's really just a question then of what pace feels comfortable for you, how much shooting you want to go, how far ahead you want to kind of like push yourself in with that process.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm also very happy because I'm actually just before we got started today, I was finishing up a client session that is lovely. Richard, I had one of those ideal, perfect clients that basically started out the session saying what I want people to say at the end of our sessions.
Perfect.
Yeah, he started out
Perfect.
saying that he's doing good and he believes it is his choice
Mm,
of making a certain change,
beautiful.
which is something really interesting. It reminded me of exactly his attitude. Reminded me of when I stopped smoking. Actually,
Mm,
I even though I have helped many people stop smoking with it completely, My story was fortunately a little bit different. Fortunately, I didn't need external help,
Hmm.
and and the point where I landed with smoking is where I want people to be and really find themselves when they are looking for some kind of a change in a habit. And
And what point was that?
that is just really looking at the thing that you used to have that you used
Mm,
as a as a crutch, as
right.
something that would express your need in a way,
Mm,
to just look at it and say, what for?
mm,
And this what for is such a disposable little question. Like, why the hell? Why am I even doing this? And I just realized I'm going to appreciate my unconscious here. I really like how this just represents the iceberg, because this is the tip of the expression. It just says, why the hell am I doing this? But it has a huge iceberg underneath this
mm.
little disposable little idea that is actually telling you that you have changed your values. You now value
Nice.
yourself and everything else more.
Beautiful.
And and I was just really, really happy to see this client get to that place where they said, yeah, I'm just I don't want to do this because of myself. It's just people
Yep.
don't really believe me
I love it. I love it, Oresztesz. Well, maybe we should swap our getting to the point of stopping smoking stories at some point. But I agree. I think that I've noticed for a long time that there is a kind of a principle of kind of threshold with change where, you know, when somebody comes along, they will have a strong reason, a strong motivation. And typically, at a certain point in their thinking, the way I kind of, it's just another way of saying, I think what you're saying, that they get to a point where they say, enough is enough. That's it, I won't take this anymore. And it's really interesting. So I went out running with Jacob on the weekend. We go to a local park run here. So we run with the adults. He's 11, but he did really well. He beat me this week. He set a new, beat both our records. And we were I was talking with
Nice.
two other. It was fantastic. It was lovely. And I was there afterwards, and I was talking with two of the guys who were running there, two friends. And one of them, he's a granddad now, and he said, you know what? I wish, and I said, look, I'm bringing Jacob along here because, like, we're allowed to bring children. A lot of the races you can't bring children to. You have to be 18, which seems crazy because you want to encourage people to exercise. They can run, um, but anyway. And he said, you know what? I didn't do any exercise when I left school, and then I had grandchildren, and I thought, my God, how am I going to be fit enough to be with them and run with them and play with them when I get older? And when he had a strong reason like that, I could see it in him. He's there every week. He's joined the running club. He's there every week, and I really like that. I think when you have a whatever the reason is, and there's that shift inside your mind, and some part of you, like you said, there's a little bit that's just popping up. It's like, what for, or what not for? Enough is enough. When you get to that, when you get past that point there, that's when we can really be of huge service to people very quickly. I mean, they can, or like you say for yourself, that's the point where you can, the change tends to unfold more easily.
Absolutely. And I would say that is one of the things that I appreciate the most about being a coach.
Mm.
That is, I have the privilege of showing you as a client that
Mm.
you're amazing,
Mm.
that you have all the solutions inside, that you
Mm.
know how to get over problems, that you're capable. You have done this before, or you have picked up yourself when you
Mm.
didn't know how to do things.
Yep,
It's just so lovely that
definitely.
as coaches, we get to help people recognize how amazing they are.
Right,
And they are, they feel grateful towards us
definitely,
because we showed
definitely.
them how amazing they are. That's such a great feeling.
It is a great feeling. I love it, and I really want to join you in that appreciation. And I have to say, I think you reminded me of a couple of things there. One is that idea of coaching and focusing on how you want to be, which ties back into what you were saying about reaching for the stars, is really important because there are lots of ways in which you can bridge into that. So yesterday, I was teaching a group. So I had a group of brilliant hypnotists and coaches, and I said, look, guys, we've been building up to this. Going to give you a real simple process here. Okay, get the outcome, ask them why the outcome is important to them, what it will do for them. And then just start asking maybe a few questions like, what's one small sign that you might be on the way there? What's one clue that you're headed in that direction? And when you see a nice little, when you see that, you spend a bit of time with that and they're doing really well, let them sit with it for a while and then ask for a symbol. Now, I sent the group out, and one of the people, their Zoom wasn't working. So there was one person who came back and was with me, and they said, can I use this with you? And I said, well, it's fine. This is a process I've used with lots of people, and I've sort of condensed it and teaching it to you. And they took me through it, and it blew my mind, Oresztesz. He said, well, when you are feeling calm and relaxed like this, you are like what? You're still like what? I'm like, still like the universe. And he's like, take all the time you need. And it reminded me of how powerful the work we do is to help people connect with the very thing that I thought was a long way away, that would have to have many iterations of me moving towards to get there, was already here and available right now. And I can never not appreciate an insight like that for the work that we do.
That is beautiful. And I guess you got the reverse Uno card played on you then. Just
Yes, yes. What a game! What a game!
right. That's fantastic. Now, today I've been looking around because I always want to bring something interesting. And Richard, I don't know how I keep finding things from the UK.
Well, we're very interesting over here on all levels. There is nothing not interesting here at the moment, I can tell you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I found that actually a soccer player, Harry Kane, started their own mental health foundation. And I found it fascinating. It's basically a tweet that kind of went somewhat viral, where he talks about his story. And I couldn't not think of another soccer player that my mom really finds very interesting. Um, and and both stories somehow bring out the idea of being rejected at first.
Yes.
Being rejected at first, but not succumbing to rejection. Not believing the idea that what is rejected is your person, or just taking that energy to pile it into working even harder.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
And
agree.
I just love the reaction of the father, at least how it appears on the video. It's basically, the idea is that there is no disappointment. No disappointment at first. It's just like, okay, well, it didn't work out this time, or this path has been shut off. But
Yep.
that doesn't mean anything other than this one path right now is not the way to go.
Yes, exactly.
So I would love to pull that first thought out, that there is no disappointment to begin.
Beautiful. Yep.
Then turning that into more of fuel that would say, we just go again and we work even harder.
Yes. Lovely.
And I love the aspect of that, especially the idea of going again, because there is nothing else that you can really do in life. Just go again. Going again is such a hallmark of every single success story.
Hmm.
There would be no success stories that didn't include having to go again.
Mm.
It's every single time, whenever you hear any sort of a success story. And that's actually one of the reasons that we love hearing and watching people succeed, is
Mm.
that because they remind us to get back up again.
Hmm.
I'm absolutely convinced that there are moments in your story, Richard, that included having to get back up again, not
Oh, for
letting
sure,
disappointment take over.
for sure, for sure. Well, I have, I mean, I have so many. I mean, it's, I will say this. I really like what you said there. Just whilst I remember it, tying it back into what you said about mental health, I was reading a study this week, or a set of meta studies about depression in men. And one of the challenges is when they're looking to help men, people assume that the depression that males have is the same as the depression that females have, and they can
Mm.
be quite different. So so for instance, the treatment for this is, there's a lot of generalizations here, but a lot of that treatment for females would center around feelings and emotions and being heard. For the men, often it's around not feeling competent enough.
Mm.
It's not feeling, it's a sort of a lack of a sense of purpose, if you will, and not feeling competent enough in doing stuff. And so this idea that this idea around disappointment, I think, is really, really important. Why? Because disappointment is something that we kind of, on one level, it's something you imagine other people have towards you, or it's something external that you internalize. And if you can take it and find a perspective where it's all learning. I mean, I can tell you this from my many mistakes, Orestes. I've had many reframes, but the easiest one to look at is, I think, everything now was what I needed to learn to be strong enough to be me and to be able to help other people. And so
I'll raise my
none.
fishbowl to that.
Thank you. So there's no, even the things that maybe I would think might be, yeah, mistakes I would wish, on one level I could see that I could have avoided or saved time. And that's there should be no regrets in that, as long as it becomes fuel to know that whatever happens, you can take a lesson from it, you can learn from it, and no matter how you feel, you can still take some kind of action.
In fact, let's try a little bit of something here that might be fun
Mm.
also for our listeners to try out. Um, there is kind of a little bit of a trick question that I kind of know the answer to. Think of
Right. Okay.
think of one of those mistakes that you just mentioned along the way. You don't have
Sure.
to tell me what it is.
No, no, no. I got one.
And what if I made you an offer
Hmm.
where you get to just completely erase all the pain, discomfort, and
Hmm.
any other thought related to that idea, shame, guilt, whatever there
Hmm.
is.
Hmm.
So you get to not have the disappointment or the failure.
Hmm.
Now, here's the catch. You also don't get the learning. You will not
Well,
know what you learned. And in fact, you're you will be still exposed to walk into that exact same mistake because you
sure.
never learned how to avoid it.
I agree. In fact, even if I had a learning from it, even if that was possible, I know it's not under the rules, but let's say we put a cheat code in and had it, I still wouldn't have it because, and it's quite interesting actually, because this one was an opportunity that I could have had when I was 17, 18
Mm-hmm.
to go to Cambridge, and I should really have taken it on one level. It's like, it's just the
Mm-hmm.
most ridiculous thing in the world. If they only offer a course like an opportunity to 3 people a year in the UK and you get one of the places and you don't take it, you know, but actually, not only would I have not taken the learnings, but I wouldn't have the friends and the family that I have now, and I wouldn't be in the place that I'm at now. I undoubtedly would be more, shall we say, I would have probably, I'd had an easier journey of it. Um, but
Mm.
the perspective that I just wouldn't, there's no way I could have the perspective that I have now and the insights that I have now. There's no way I could do coaching. There's no way I could do therapy. There's no way I could write the books that I do now and help people without the path less traveled. And
Yes.
so again, I really like that now. I really like actually going to the exercise. And I'll just say for anyone watching, because now that there was always a little bit of regret there, but now I'm just thinking, well, look, that's just there is just the path that we've had. So Eckhart Tolle always likes to say, accept everything as though you've chosen it. and I
Nice.
and I like that, and that for me it's always been very profound. It's been really, really helpful. So they said, well, why would I have chosen that? Well, because you know I have to learn. I have to learn through my own mistakes. I've got to learn in my own way. Like I don't learn. You can't learn if somebody tells you to do something. You have to trip up. Some people need to trip up once. Some people need to trip up a few times. Some people need to spend a few decades doing it. But eventually you will get the learning, and that, exactly as you say, is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And I can kind of sense some of our listeners already getting a little bit like, yeah, there's no way this mistake had any benefit for me, right? You might think of situations where you
Mm,
can not yet appreciate
mm,
the learning. And and again, I'm even thinking about situations
mm,
where a mistake or some kind of a situation ended up being, bringing irreversible
mm,
damage in one way or another.
mm, mm,
And I know a family member that ended causing someone a serious injury because
mm,
of a mistake that they didn't know.
mm.
Sometimes it it would require a very, very big
Sure.
and deep understanding on how that was still in a way either beneficial for you as a person that is going to be someone that will in the future take extra care. It was an opportunity to bring out their desire to take
Hmm.
good care of the people that made it through,
Yeah.
her desire to teach others so that these kind of things don't happen again. So there
Yeah.
are a lot of things that actually came out, but if you're focusing in the wrong way, then it might take a while until you begin
Sure.
to fully appreciate the best outcomes and even understand yourself. Because sometimes
Sure.
when you're making a mistake, it's just there is absolutely no way for you to have been different in that moment.
Hmm.
You just could not be the person that you are today in the moment.
Sure.
And that is something that may be a little bit painful, but it is also an inspiration to become more.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, look, sometimes that's why people might seek out a hypnotist or a coach or a therapist to help sort of progress along that path. Sometimes just the process of self-reflection and writing stuff down and writing your own observations about it can be very, very beneficial. No one's saying that, oh, it's great, we need to jump up and down and celebrate it. But for instance, I read a lot of stories of folk who have had a major sort of health challenge. In fact, one of my friends, she had cancer, and it was very, very serious. And before that, she was sort of led the rock and roll lifestyle a bit. She was a singer, in a band, and it just caused her to slow down and appreciate things much more. She really looks after herself now. She helps other people out. She spends more time with her family. So there are things that are there. I would say for myself as well, going through all the process I've been through, self-care, having self-care rituals now and understanding all the different, why all the different elements are important. It's not like exercise is the one thing, or diet is the one thing, or mindfulness is the one thing. Everyone has a particular combination of things that will work well for them. And you have to find that combination yourself. A coach can certainly help you with that, explore that, and to sort of like plan that and to map that out. But it is a very personal, it's a very personal thing to go through that. But I like the idea here, even just reflecting on something that admittedly is a long time ago, that I can see I wouldn't trade the experience, because the path would have been different. And you have the path that you've got, and when you can do that, then it gives you a tremendous opportunity to really appreciate what you do have. The fact that we've woken up today with our eyes and our limbs intact, is we are doing pretty well compared to a lot of people in the world, and it's worth celebrating, not from a point of view of feeling guilty or because somebody says that, but just to take a moment to have that kind of appreciation. It can be real fuel for those times when people have setbacks or disappointments, as we will do when we want to move somewhere different, especially if we want to shoot for the stars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I again come back to the soccer players example in a way. I find it's just yet another success story that symbolizes for me all of the ways in
Yep.
which you can really just take something bad that happened and really turn it into an actual huge win. And
Yes.
who knows what might have happened if he wasn't kicked out from Arsenal, I believe, at the very very beginning, at 8 years of age, might never have had opened the opportunity for the dad to
Yep.
tell him, might not have detonated the opportunity for the dad to say to him, you know what, we're just going to work even harder,
Yep.
and let's see where it takes us. I love that little thing
Yep.
in the end, which really opens up the opportunity to make sure that future events are also not disappointments, but
Yep.
just the idea of having had that opportunity
Mm.
bring out the motivation of
Yep.
what to do, how to go even harder. I love it, and I'm sure that if he ever has an opportunity, he might not say that he would trade everything that came from that.
Well, it's great to come back to it, because I think Harry Kane, I think people have a lot of affection for him, and there's different people, as you mentioned, related to the story. But Harry Kane himself, his great love, he's born in London, his great love from an early age is Tottenham Hotspur. So those people who really love and appreciate it. His dream was to play for that club. And he was rejected. In fact, he had opportunities early on. He was told he wasn't good enough. He was told he was too small. He was told all these kinds of things. And it was very, very hard. And and I'm sure it crushed him for a time. But he got back up again, he got back out, and he worked so hard. And, eventually not only succeeded in doing that, was the England captain as well. And universally loved and respected, because of his his attitude. You know, I've seen him play against, I can't remember which side it was. I don't want to sort of guess, but anyway, playing against the side internationally. And this particular side had a basically like to foul. So they kicked him to the ground about 4 times, elbowed him, pushed him right in the mud. And he got up every time, brushed himself down, took a deep breath, and walked back to his team and just carried on playing. You know, he has this discipline, this wonderful way about him. And he's cultivated that. He's chosen to cultivate that over time. And that's not, it's not easy. And not everyone, of course, is going to achieve he's not going to go down the exact same path that he's gone on. But the idea that there is a way to accept the disappointment. At a certain point, it's going to hurt, but there's a certain point at which you say, okay, I accept this has happened, right? Okay, it doesn't, this path may have closed, or this part of the path may have closed. That doesn't mean anything. I can choose what it means. I can go again. And you adopt that perspective, and that's when some real magic can happen.
And the idea is that one path closing, it doesn't say anything about all of the other paths.
Mm.
It doesn't even say anything about that path tomorrow.
Yep.
Or the day after.
Yep.
So I'd really love to have our listeners, and I will also do this right after we finish up here today. Just reflect on the idea. What might be one thing in your life today that could benefit from you just brushing off any disappointment you might have had and really grab the idea of, well, just go again and work at it even harder. See where it takes us.
Nice. Nice. I like it. Very nice.
So again, I would say thank you very much for tuning in. And I've had some awesome and very kind comments about the first episode we did. Please do it in writing, not just personally. Put down in the comments what did you enjoy about today's episode. I'd love to hear from you. If you disagree with something, sure, write that too. If you have a kind comment, something nice to say, do that as well. Make sure that you subscribe and you learn to talk. Make sure that you subscribe. And you can follow Richard where?
So you can follow me on Substack on Richard Haggerty. So I've got a Substack, you can do that, or Richard Haggerty on Twitter. And if you go to Twitter as well, there's also a newsletter there. If you just pop your name in, you'll get a weekly digest from me. Or if you want, I also do a daily email as well.
Wonderful. And of course, you can check out the information about me on the YouTube channel, Less Anxiety Today, and the website, lessanxietytoday.com. Love to help you, love to see you there, hear your comments. And if you feel like this information could be interesting for others, do share it with them. And see you next week.
That's great. Bye-bye.